Hello and welcome to the Gathering Place. So glad that you could join with us today to be a part of this special Father's Day edition. And we want you to like on this, to share it, and to invite others to be a part of what you're about to experience here. So buckle in your seatbelt and get ready. Listen, I want to introduce to you our hosts for the Gathering Place, Ben and Taylora Bookie, as well as Ken Shelton. We're all in the house today, and we're ready to bring you a powerful episode. If you're ready, Ken, take it away.
Oh man, we're going to have fun today. This is Father's Day, and by the time you're watching this, you've had your grilled steaks and ribs, racks of ribs, and all the good, delightful food that fathers like, And moms, on Mother's Day, they like the big buffet out at the hotel. And Father's Day, let's put on the shorts, go out there and eat ribs and goof off with the kids. So it's a great day. Hopefully, you will have enjoyed yourself. And this is pre-recorded, so we don't really know that you ate ribs, and we don't really know that the weather is good. So I'm floating around in my imagination. Today, we're going to be doing two things. First of all, we're going to be, each one of us, talking about something memorable concerning our father and his interaction with us, something that has touched us and that we remember. And then when we're done, get ready, hold it up, Ben, so the people can see. We're going to be sharing our best bad dad jokes. This is the Father's Day dad joke episode, and we hope you get a kick out of it. So, Ben and Taylora, we're glad that you're here with us today, sitting outside in the sunshine, and you're looking lovely and handsome. And so I'm going to turn it over to the two of you. And Ben, if you would just kick us off by talking a little bit about a memorable moment with your father.
All right. So you might hear some background noise here. I mean, we're out in the country, but we do have neighbors. But I'm sitting here actually listening to a dad across the street over this way, outside. It's Saturday morning right now, playing with his kids. Can't quite tell what they're playing, but and fathers are important, right? And there's four little girls across the street. Well, no, how many girls are there? I forgot. Two girls, three girls, and a boy. I can't remember. You would think I'd know. I see them usually on Halloween, um, but fathers are important, and so we're listening to that even as we're sitting here talking about the importance of fathers, and so I'm going to go back to my fifth birthday to talk about a memory, and um, so I want I wanted to go fishing, so my dad bought me a fishing pole, and we went fishing. There's a little creek down from their house, and we went to try to catch stuff. We get down there, it just starts pouring rain, and of course we didn't catch anything. But I had a good time. I remember going out and digging for worms to get ready for this trip to go fishing for that first time. And we got soaked, and we walked down. It was probably, I don't know, half mile from the house, and came back and just soaked, right? Didn't catch anything, but I had such a good time with my dad at 5 in the rain, not catching a thing, digging for worms, all of the things that go along with that. It was just an adventure, and and so of course, um, none of that bothered 5-year-old me, you know 40-something-year-old me still would probably stand out in the rain. Not fishing because I don't fish anymore, but I like weather, and that's my dad's fault too. Taylora hates it because I'm the one outside looking for the tornado, right? Standing in the backyard, just looking, right? She hates it. We're on our front porch, which is covered. I'll stand out here when it's pouring rain, hailing, whatever's going on. Um, but I used to do that with my dad. We'd sit on the front porch and watch the storms roll in. So, just a little thing, but so important and had such an effect on just what I even do now. But also, those are just fun, happy memories. And I know not everybody has necessarily fun, happy memories of their dad, but but for those that do or who are fathers and want to change that cycle, right? I mean, it is possible. You are important, and just like, the dad across the street, I think they have a little motorized car going on over there. I don't know if it's a remote control car, if it's a little one that the kids ride in, but they're laughing. They've been having a good time all morning out there. Beautiful day, and so
Right.
so you know, so I hope everybody has that, or will cultivate that for their own children.
That's absolutely right. Those memories, we've been told that our fathers are our first glimpse of God. And
Mm,
what we mean by that is that we really don't have, as children, we don't have a way of understanding the greatness and the beauty of God, but our fathers can do that for us. Very often, they do things that help us understand the love of God. Sometimes it doesn't work out like that, unfortunately. And hopefully, somebody else steps in to accommodate that. Taylora, talk to us a little bit.
So that's what I was going to share is my dad left when I was 7, and my memories with him as a child was very, very few. And as an adult, it was just pretty much a once a year thing. We'd see him at Christmas time. He was an alcoholic and was addicted to cocaine. So those memories aren't good. But I have some good people in my life. I have 2 uncles. I always speak really highly of that. I loved a lot. Um, my Uncle Dave, even now, he's my mom's brother. Like he's the one that we go down and you probably see if you follow me on Facebook, we go down and visit him often. And he's a funny guy and sweet. He was always there for his children, always there for us ever since we were little kids. Um, my Uncle Steve, I lived with him and my aunt for a little bit, and he was always there. But I always tell jokes because he was such a prankster. Um, when we were little, he would put us all around the circle and take those Halloween, remember those haunted Halloween records? And he put the record player in the middle, and he would start playing that. And then he'd shut off the light and then walk behind one of us randomly and startle us, and just cute little things like that. He would always have us laughing. And he is one of the most talented musicians I have ever met. He could sing, he could play piano, self-taught, guitar, bass. He would play the drums. And he's just a really, really talented man. So I have 2 people that stepped into my life, and maybe that's the way it was for you. And I always tell people when they talk to me about an absent father, is there a male that you can look up to, or someone that you could bring into your children's life that's positive and could support them. And that's what Ben was for my boys too, because I basically married my father and my first husband, and we split up. But then I had Ben, and Ben was a godsend, and not just for me, but for our boys. And to see my adult children and their interaction with Ben, I mean, it just started crying. It warms my heart because that's what a father is a father that stands there and doesn't leave just because things are bad. So hopefully you've had someone in your life that can be there. Maybe somebody who played the haunted house records that scared you or did other pranks. I was really honored to have 2 great uncles. So
Thank
that's
you
that's
very
my
much. Yeah.
input.
that's
Well,
good.
those surrogate fathers make all the difference in the world, and I can tell you're touched by those memories. And even when you see your father as a human, when we're very little, we don't see our dads as human. We see them as divine, and then all of a sudden we realize, uh-oh, they're people too, and that's frightening. And yet,
He had his own
such
trauma.
yeah, we have such deep and abiding love for them that we feel empathy for what they've gone through. Well, my dad, uh, I think I had the perfect dad. I really do. My dad was awesome. He passed away going on 5 years ago now. He was 90, just 2 weeks shy of his 95th birthday. He and mom were married 70 years. They were married at age 16. He's a World War II veteran serving on the flagship at Normandy on D-Day and several other theaters in the Atlantic, and then also in the Pacific, in the Philippines, and at Okinawa, and at the close of the war in the Pacific Theater in Iwo Jima. So my dad, this little 16-year-old guy out of Harlan County, Kentucky, got to see the world, and that meant the most to him. So I idolized my father. We had Navy books sitting around, and I would find my dad's picture, in those. And one time I circled it with a big heart, and then everybody chuckled at that, and I was like, oh. But I loved my dad so much, and until the day he died, and he helped me in my early days of my ministry. And so as he was in the last years of his life, I did my best to provide for him as well. I had a home, uh, another home, and I allowed him to live there next door to our church, and we cared for him. And, it was reciprocal. I love him dearly, but I loved him so much. And I think this is true. Uh, when you love someone so much and you idolize them and they're so divine to you, you have to humanize them. And the way we often humanize them is we make fun of them. we laugh at their mistakes and at their jokes. Oh, I'm sorry. I have a friend of mine who's now passed on, David Sestar. He called my dad's jokes Bernieisms. My dad's name was Bernice Shelton, and he often went by Bernie. And so the Bernieisms, I'll tell one quickly. My cousin may be watching, Jamie and Nelson. Nelson is Chinese, and his folks. So this is a Chinese joke. It's not a joke, it's a story. So no offense intended. It's a story really about my dad. So my dad's brother, Ben, my dad had 5 brothers, and his brother Ben, who my dad loved dearly, and they were close throughout the years. For several years, lived 2 blocks away, and Ben was a great guy. They had similar jobs at Pontiac Motors. They had a lot in common. So anyway, Ben passed away, and it broke my dad's heart. Of course, my dad knew he would pass away, and my dad made sure all of his brothers knew the Lord before they died. He made sure personally. He went to their bedside and talked to them about eternity and their need for Jesus in their lives. And so that's the kind of guy he was, but he was pretty low key about it. He was an understated individual. Well, anyway, if you wanted to make my dad happy, you talked about family, and you talked about relatives that had our name, or people that may not be connected to us whatsoever that bore our last name, or maybe his mother's maiden name, or my mother's maiden name, or maybe her mother's maiden name. I mean, if you were someone, hey, I was in Kentucky, I was in California last week, and I met this guy named John Scott. And anyway, John Scott, my dad say, Scott, that's your mother's maiden name. I wonder if they're related. This went on and on and on, and he was serious about it. So one time, I'll just tell the story real quick. I was headed over to Israel to sing at the Pentecost World Conference. Big moment in my life. My dad was so proud of me to be able to go there. My sister and her husband had been vacationing in New York City. And so my dad says to me, he says, hey, listen, when you're in that airport, look out for your sister. Well, do you have any idea how big that airport is in New York City? It is a massive airport. The odds of seeing my sister it's like play the lottery, right? So I just chuckled about it. As I'm getting into the airport, walking up to the gate, I'm just laughing, and I look up and there's my sister. I said, hey, how you doing? She said, did Dad tell you to look for me? I said, yeah, he told me to look for you. I said, well, what do you know? There we are. But anyway, his brother died. We went to the funeral. It was sad, but his brother's granddaughter, Jamie, precious, precious lady. And she and her husband, Nelson, were at the funeral, obviously, and because it was her grandpa that died. I'll be quick. Nelson's father and family own Chinese restaurants in New York City. And so my dad also gets just so tickled when he finds that somebody has done well and somebody, hey, they have done good. They must have money, that kind of thing. And so he talked about Nelson. And so I can't tell you the times over a 5-day period that my dad said, hey, did you meet Jamie's boyfriend? Yeah, yeah. His dad owns Chinese restaurants in New York. They probably got money. Yeah. So he kept doing that over and over. Funerals over. He and mom stick around. They lived in Kentucky at the time, and they came to church with us at our church in Brighton. And then we went out to eat. I didn't think about it. We wanted a big table. So where did we go? The Chinese restaurant. So we're sitting at a great China restaurant, sitting around the table, and it's Kitty and myself and our girls and my dad and my mom and another couple that just came out with us. And we're sitting around the table, and our waiter came up, and I could tell from the conversation, my assumption was this nice man knows no English. He only knows number three. And so, the number of and this happened a lot in that particular restaurant. And so my dad wanted to engage him in conversation because he had a nephew or, his brother's grandson who had a Chinese restaurant. So they come around to him, and my dad says, hey, 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 do you know Nelson? Nelson is the guy's name, the grandson's husband or boyfriend. And my dad said, sir, it came around time for my dad to order, do you know Nelson? And the Chinese guy goes, Nelson? My dad was hard of hearing, and my dad says, no, Nelson. Do you know Nelson? He has Chinese restaurants in New York City. And the poor waiter, God bless him, he's a nice man. He looks around the table like he went his hands and goes, somebody help me. I don't know what's happening. He looks for some help from somebody else and nobody's there. And my dad says, Nelson Moy. And my mom is the savior of anybody who's about to be embarrassed. And so my mom stepped into the situation as the waiter is saying, Nelson who? And she pets my dad's hand and she goes, Bernice, listen, he probably knows him by his Chinese name. So I love my dad. I've told that joke. My dad did not like you to tell jokes about him. He did not like you to make fun of him because he's a very serious man, which made it even funnier. And we laughed. So when our family gets together, somebody will say, Nelson? And then we'll all laugh and have that great memory. I have so many wonderful memories of my dad, but that's my dad. I love you, Dad. If you're up there in heaven looking down here at me right now, please forgive me for us laughing at your expense. All right, Tom, it's your turn.
That's great. And I had a pleasure of meeting your dad and hanging out with him a little bit, and that was a great joy of my life. My father, there's lots of memories as well. He was the same man off stage as he was on stage, and I was so blessed to have him as my role model and mentor and father in my life. And so a lot of stories to tell. I mean, he got behind and backed my band's first recording that we did. He contributed $10,000 to that so that we could crank out an album that he would probably never listen to because it
I
wasn't
can't
his
see your
style.
dad liking that kind of music.
But he certainly saw me and he saw my heart and he knew the mission behind what we were doing. And so he contributed to that. And he was one of my greatest supporters in regards to that. And so moving forward, just to keep things short and sweet. Um, so we were away from the church. We had just moved to another church in Canton. And our heater was on the fritz. And so we decided to cancel service that Sunday night. And so whenever there was a cancellation on Sunday night, which was rare, my wife and I would go over to Dad's church. You know, back then we had Sunday morning and Sunday night services, which doesn't happen very much these days. But so we knew Dad would be having a Sunday night service, so we went over there to be with him in Pontiac. Um, and and so he got up to preach, and he spent about 20 minutes pinning verbal roses on people. You know, you've been like a son to me, and thank you for all you've done. And this is the kind of thing he did from the pulpit. I remember sitting there thinking, come on, Dad, get on with it, you know. But he did that, and then he preached another part of a series that he had been preaching about heaven. And he preached it with such conviction, you would have thought that he actually visited heaven and walked the streets of gold and took a dip in the crystal sea. I mean, he really had some really visual perspectives of that. And then we spent the night there with Dad at the house, and the next morning I played the music for a funeral for him. Usually he and I would do about 100 or so funerals in our lifetime together. And I would always play music and he would minister. And at this particular time, I got up to do a song that I had actually wrote for this woman who was laid out, her husband. When I heard that he had passed away, I hung up the phone and I wrote this song. And so that day, I thought it was fitting to sing that song for her funeral. And as I'm singing the song, I look over to my dad. I just see him beaming with pride and just so proud of his son. And then he steps up after I finish my song, and then he starts bragging on me. And I'm thinking to myself, Dad, you can't be bragging on me. This is about her, not about me, you know. And then the very next day, he drove with the body actually to Alabama to preach the funeral again. And after arriving there, 5 minutes later, he passed away. And so, what a vivid time for me in those last moments of his life to experience something that he loved so much. He loved God so much, and he gave me a perspective and a glimpse of heaven from his perspective. He wasn't a perfect man, but he loved Jesus and served him with all of his heart. And I'm so thankful that he has been a mentor and a guide in my life. And I'm thankful for a couple of other gentlemen that have popped up in my life since that time that I can look onto and see that same integrity and character that has helped shape me to be who the man I am and the father I am today and the husband I am today. And so that is my perspective, Ken. There you go.
That's great. Well, I hope that you've enjoyed listening to our dads, and hopefully it will spark positive memories of yours. No man is perfect, and no dad is perfect. And there are issues in their lives, just like there are issues in your life. And so if your dad wasn't perfect and you're hanging on to something that is bitter or harsh, for your sake and for your children's sake, I'm not minimizing it. I just want to say, give it to Jesus, lay it at the foot of the cross. If it is severe, please find a therapist, talk about it, because you deserve healing. You deserve to know that your father needed healing as well. All right. lightening it up a little bit, we are going to tell some dad jokes. And since I told one in my story about my dad, Ben, you're the guy with the book. Give us a dad joke.
All right. I had to check and make sure I wasn't going to steal Taylora's because you know we're going to do psychology related
That's
ones.
what I was gonna say.
Our counselors, our
So-
therapists. Yeah, right.
So mine is the psychiatrist said to the cannibal at the end of a session, "Your problem is simple. You're just fed up with people."
Do we have a drum roll? Do we have a And then mine is, how many narcissists does it take to screw in a light bulb? One, the narcissist holds the light bulb while the rest of the world revolves around him.
That's great. That's great. Tom, give us one, buddy.
Well, I went to find some camouflage pants to wear for this episode, but I couldn't find them.
That's good. That's really good. Well, you know, I found that the best bad dad jokes were ones that happened in real life conversation. And so sometimes I would make them up and they were horrible. And sometimes they were kind of funny. For instance, you know, if my kids hurt their foot and, you know, I didn't want them to cry and cry and cry and cry and carry on, or they stubbed their toe and they're, oh, I'd say, wait a minute. You think you have polio? Oh no, you have polio? You better call a tow truck. Because I mean, Dad, you have got yourself in a toe jam. I'm telling you right now, you know, so I would do stuff like that. Or then invariably when they were little, they would say, geez, Dad, you know, like, geez, what, you know. And I said, cheese? You like cheese? Well, I like provolone, but you know, provolone is best eaten by itself. Which of course I didn't get, you know, stupid things like that. And then that got it started. And my kids started picking up on that and they would do the same thing. And Allison walked in one day and she goes, hey, Dad, I was just down in Ypsilanti and there were two peanuts walking down the street and one was assaulted. I thought, she's got it. She caught it. Let's keep going around. Okay. Tom, give us one. Or I'd be big. It's another one.
Yeah, Ben.
Oh, you want another one? All right.
Yeah, we've got 7 minutes left. Let's use our time for humorous purpose.
This one might be a little, I don't know. We'll see if you get this one or not. So, where do hippos go to college?
I wouldn't know.
A hippocampus. It's a brain joke.
Yeah, one. Did you hear about the crustacean accused of promoting his own shellfish interests?
Oh, that's great. That's great. His own shellfish interest. That's good. Tom, give us another one, bud.
Well, I have a lot of books I want to write, but one of them is on the subject of glue, but I'm stuck on the first chapter.
That's a bad one. Yes, yes, yes. That's a very bad one. All right. What happened when the blue ship and the red ship collided at sea? Their crews were marooned. Oh, that's so bad, isn't it? Maroon, get it if you don't know colors.
Some
Yeah.
of them are so bad, it's hilarious.
I know it. All right, go back up for another one. Taylora, you got one, Ben? Either one.
Yeah, did you hear about the bankrupt poet who'd owed everybody, or everyone, sorry,
Ode.
owed.
Oh, Ben, you got one?
So, I actually use this one sometimes with kids in session. So, why did the banana go to the doctor?
No.
It wasn't peeling well.
No. Well, what about this one? Why do seagulls fly over the sea? Because if they flew over the bay, they would be bay gulls. Man, that's the beauty of dad jokes, is they're just so bad. Tom, you got another one?
Uh, yeah, I love telling dad jokes, but sometimes he doesn't laugh. Oh, I've got a bazillion puns. There was one occasion where there was three of us that all did puns, and it got ridiculous. Uh, but yeah, I love the pun jokes, and it just in the moment, as you were just talking about with your kids, I love those. I love those. Tell us another one, Ken.
Well, what do you call a line of men waiting to get a haircut? They went out for a barbecue. Really sorry about these guys. All right, let's keep it going. Let's keep it alive. Who's next?
I got one. Murphy's Law. Anything that can go wrong will go wrong. But have you heard of Cole's Law? It's thinly sliced cabbage.
Coleslaw. Okay, Ben.
All right. A pessimist blood type is always B negative.
Oh, there you go. You have to think deeply about that one. Tom, you got one?
Yeah, did you hear the rumor about the butter?
No.
I'm not going to be the one spreading it.
Oh, yeah, that's good. What did Mama Corn say to the baby corn? Where's popcorn? They're getting worse by the second.
Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, you're up again, Taylora.
Oh, I don't know if I have any more. I'll let that go. Why is the top or why has the bottom at the top? Your legs. I don't get that.
What has the bottom at the
Some of them
top?
are so not funny, they're funny.
I know. Like I don't
Your
get it.
bottom, your butt.
Oh, now that's funny.
Your butt's at
I
the
didn't
top
hear
of
that. What was it?
Guess I shouldn't just give her random ones. All right. Claustrophobic people are always more productive thinking outside of the box.
Ooh, very true, very true. Tom,
That's a
you
good
got one
one.
more?
That's a good one. So, what state is known for its small drinks?
Hmm.
Minnesota.
All right, here's one. What do you call a beehive without an exit? Unbelievable. That's really ridiculous. Okay. All right, we have 2 minutes and 50 seconds left. Let's milk it for all it's worth. Go ahead, Ben.
All right. My wife left me because of my obsessive compulsive issues. I told her to close the door 5 times on the way out.
Tom, you got another?
Uh, yeah, when I was in Africa, they served me goat, and it tastes really bad. Bad. Yeah, it tastes
Got
bad.
it. I got it. All right,
Yes.
now this is a disclaimer. I'm going to use a swear word in this one. I hope no one will be offended. What did the carp fish say when he swam into the brick wall? Damn.
I do have
Hit
one.
it, damn. I didn't swear. He hit the damn. All right. All right. One more, and then we're gonna wrap
When
up.
when does a joke become a dad joke?
Oh, tell me.
When it becomes a parent.
No, yes, that's very.
You're welcome.
That's
All
a
right,
good
one more quickly, Ben. Another one.
Oh, I just closed my book. He said only one more. So, all right, this might be for older people, but I thought it was funny. So the patient says, "Doc, I can't stop singing. What's new, pussycat?" The therapist says, that sounds like Tom Jones syndrome." Patient says, "Is it common?" The therapist says, "It's not unusual."
Hello. Okay, Tom, one more.
Yeah, well, I was going to tell you a joke about time travel, but you didn't like it.
All right, let me see if I can find a good one here. Why did the man fall down the well? Because he couldn't see that well. All right. Well, listen, we've only got a few seconds. I just want to say to all of you who are listening, I hope that you're having a great day. For the dads, we love you. We're proud of you. We appreciate all that you are and all that you do. Find your family today, whatever the circumstance, wrap them up in your arms, embrace them, and tell them how much you love them, and then show that by the way you live with them 24/7, 365 days a year. And moms and kids, please help dad know how important